What up, everybody? So, I'm telling, got the side-by-side behind me. We're on our way to pick up some projects. Hopefully you can hear me. I am driving. Truck's doing great, but I got a couple hours here on the road, so I figured I'd make a quick video, just try to talk to you guys. This video is not going to have a whole lot of visual car content, but hopefully it sparks a discussion. Let's chat. What I want to ask you guys is, what got you into cars? You know, my age group, a lot of people say that things like Fast and Furious or stuff like that got them into it, but I'll be honest, I was into cars before that. I'm old enough that when the first Fast and Furious movie dropped, I actually got in trouble leaving the theater that night for ripping a huge burnout in the parking lot of the theater after we watched the movie in the last Camaro I owned before getting the one I have now. I can't honestly tell you the exact moment I got into cars, because as far as I'm concerned, I've legitimately always, as long as I can remember, liked cars. They represent to me, it's going to sound cliche, but like a little morsel of freedom that nobody else can really take from you. I'm talking about people that own their cars, not the bank owned ones. Y'all got to pay your bills still. What I mean by that is, you know, more freedom of expression than just getting in there and being able to go somewhere. You know, cars used to be super individualized. You know, you could go to a parking lot back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and that parking lot might have 20 Honda Civics in it. Not a single one of those Honda Civics, they could all be 97 Honda Civics. All be coupes or hatchbacks. Pick your favorite body style, whatever. They could all be the exact same car, exact same year, and you walk down the line, and not a single one of them was the same. Everybody used to pull up to parking lots, express themselves through their cars. You know, granted, this was before social media took off and all that stuff. But you would go to a car meet, and all the cars were just completely different. Every owner had his own way of expressing himself, and it didn't even matter. Like, that whole built not bought BS wasn't a thing. I don't care if you build your car or if you pay someone to build it for you, as long as you're staying true to what you want. Not everybody has the skills. Some people work hard to get the money to do it, and honestly, if I turn my property into what I want in the next 10 years, I need those people that write checks, because I hope to be building cars for other people for a living into retirement. So I don't subscribe to the, you know, built not bought, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get on you if you buy your car or pay for the customization. To me, you're still a car guy. You just don't have necessarily the skill set to perform, you know, a full one-off tube chassis or anything like that. Not everybody has those skills. Not everybody can build an engine or a transmission. I know a lot of those guys that huff that built not bought crap, and they've never opened up a transmission. So shut up. That's one. But man, social media took off, and there's good things and bad things with social media. So the good things are, you know, you can hop on social media, and I was just having this talk with my neighbor yesterday. You can hop on social media and see anything you want to see. You can hop on the internet and see anything you want to see, whether it be a glacier in Greenland, or how hot rodders are doing things in Japan, or how to fabricate something, how to weld, how to build an engine, how to go through your training. You can look up anything you want on social media and Google. And I think that's a beautiful thing. What I don't like is that it's killed the car culture. A lot of people are probably shaking their heads right now, yes. The younger guys are saying no, because they think that what they're doing is car culture, and it's not. In this video, I'm going to touch on everything, if I remember to, from street racing, car meets, custom cars, everything. And I want to hear your opinion. So, let's start it where it all kind of starts, right? Car meets. So car meets used to be a thing where, to be in a car meet, people had to know who you were. And that didn't mean you had to be some superstar. It just means you had to have a car that you'd been working on, people noticed, and you maybe struck up a conversation, whether it be at the grocery store, the gas pump, the parts store, in front of your job, people at work. It didn't matter. If you had your car, you drove it, you used it, you built it, you spent whatever change you had in your pocket on making it better and trying to get to where you could fulfill a dream that you had locked in your head, and only you knew what that was. People would notice that, and they'd invite you. You know, hey man, what do you do on Friday nights? Or hey man, what do you do on, weekends? Or hey, we're having a barbecue, come over, bring your car. And it started there, right? Now, in that, you've got people that are all about looks with their cars. That's fine. You got people that are all about speed. Also fine. You got people that try to combine the two, and man, in today's day and age, I will say this: we have some of the most beautiful race cars on the planet, just showing up everywhere, and it's a beautiful thing. And I love that. But now, social media, you don't have to get out to see the cars. You don't have to get off your butt. You see a cool car on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or any of those things. You see a car and you've seen it. You're good. You know. The problem is with that, what I view as a problem, some may not, is you see that car, and I'm not saying you specifically, but someone will see that car and they'll go, man, I like that. That's what I want. Let's say that video has 100,000 views. So we both know it's not my video. But let's say a video has 100,000 views and 1% of those people, right? Which is 1,000 other people go, man, I like that. I'm going to build that. So from one video, you got 1,000 people making the same freaking car. And to me, that's just big bumps going through construction. There's no individuality because and I blame social media for a few things, but that's one of them. Nobody has any original ideas anymore. And the people that do have original ideas, y'all got to stop posting your ideas, just execute them. And I realize I'm saying that as a guy that, puts his work out on there, whether it be drivers or show cars or whatever. I put my work online, I get that. But I'm not doing anything crazy with the work that I'm doing. I'm just repairing stuff currently. We're going to get to crazy in a little bit. But stop sharing your ideas, because you're just going to get beat down by the naysayers and, honestly, the jerks in the industry that are also killing car culture. So that links back to social media and stuff, right? People aren't nervous to say something online. They will flat out say, I hate to say it like this, but people aren't scared to get punched in the mouth online. So they say whatever they want online. Keyboard warriors, they'll just say some straight up negative junk online, and it's just disgusting. So people will take that to heart. They put weight and they put stock in what people they've never met online will say when it's negative. So what I've learned, and it's tough to learn, the people that say negative stuff, man, either delete that comment, ignore it, move on, whatever. I only give my attention to the people that are positive, because they'll lift you up, and that's how you get better at anything. So they'll break you down, they'll say negative stuff, and they'll just beat you up, and then people give up on something that could potentially be really cool. Now, I am not saying that every original idea is a good one. You can also Google search terrible custom ideas on Google, and you'll see pages and pages and pages of just atrocities that people have built. And again, that's just my opinion. That person thought it was cool. I don't leave a comment on those because I don't believe it's valuable. So car meets have taken a hit because there's no attendance. When there is attendance, you know, social media keeps highlighting and adding fuel to the fire with this takeover crap. Now, takeovers are linked to street racing, which, from a law standpoint, yes, they're both illegal. From, you know, a family trying to get home with their kids in the back seat, they're just as dangerous. So I can see why people would flip out and link takeovers to street racing. What's wild to me is that kids that do takeovers equate themselves to drifters. No. Y'all ain't drifting. Y'all are doing donuts and crashing a lot in intersections. So let me break it down for you. Some differences that I see between street racing and takeovers. At least when we used to street race. One, takeovers sitting in a frickin' intersection in the middle of town. Their goal is to disrupt the most public place that they possibly can for clout on social media. If there was no social media, there'd be nothing to fuel those idiots, and takeovers probably wouldn't be such a big deal, if I'm honest. Street racing used to be that you'd get invited to that car meet that I talked to you about a minute ago. And if you were a guy that was building this car to go fast, some people might notice, some people would talk to you, and it might take a couple of trips to a car meet before someone approached you and said, "Hey man, you want to run?" They got to get to know you and know you're not, you know, a snitch or a cop, or you can actually drive your piece of junk, whatever. And when they do, you would meet at the car meet spot. They'd meet up with you. They'd walk up. They'd say, "Hey, let's run. Do you want to run?" Blah, blah, blah. More often than not, it wasn't even for money. It was just, let's see who's faster. You say yes? Okay. Here's where we get difference between back then and now. Back when we were all coming up in street racing, you would agree to street race. It was understood that it was a dig. Roll racing was just dumb. I'll touch on that in a minute. You would leave, the guy you were racing, one person for you, one person for them, and a flagger typically is all that would go. So you'd have the two cars that are racing, and maybe 2 to 3 other cars would leave the car meet, go miles away to a secluded spot, not in the middle of town, not light to light, not nothing. You'd go out in the middle of nowhere, where if you wrecked, there was nothing to hit, and help could be gotten. 2, less chance of cops finding you. And 3, you weren't going to hurt anybody else. No one else was really in danger. Is it still illegal? Yeah. Is anyone else in danger? No. So much, in fact, that the cops used to show up when we'd be at the race spot, and they'd show up and they'd just shrug their shoulders and say, "Y'all ain't doing that right now, go home." No one would go to jail. Most times we wouldn't even get tickets. It was just told, "Go home, you're being idiots." You'd run your race if the cops weren't there, and then you'd go back, and then everybody would know who was faster between the two of you. Now, man, people go to car meets and they're doing burnouts and stuff right at the car meet. So police don't have a choice but to break that junk up. You guys are being idiots in the middle of town. Families are going out to dinner and, trying to get home from school functions, and you're just being idiots. So, the atmosphere around car meets has just changed. Street racing, now you got guys that build these cars, and I get why they roll race. It's easier on parts, easier to get traction when you're already moving. When roll racing first became a thing, it was understood it was a 100-mile-an-hour pull. So if you did a 40 roll, you ran to 140. That's it, point blank, period. Now these kids have all these draggies, and that's all that matters is your 60 to 130 time, which is ridiculous because that don't mean nothing. I can't tell you how many times, I've offered to pay someone's entry fee to the track so that they'll run me at the track. It's usually some young kid, and they've always got some excuse. Oh, I don't want to break nothing. My car can't launch. My car can't do this. I'm going to break an axle. I'm going to throw a drive shaft. Transmission can't. Then you can't race. I'm sorry. I said what I said. Have I roll raced? Absolutely. Have I roll raced in 3-speed American muscle cars? Yeah. Have I won some roll races? Yeah. Do I think it's real racing? Nah. Is it racing? Sure. There's too many variables. When you're on an interstate, where's the starting line? Where's the finish line? How do you know both cars are doing exactly 40, 50, 60 miles an hour? How can you tell both cars that leave at the exact same time? You can't. Someone honks 3 times when you take off. It's not a legitimate race. It's a good way to see which car accelerates faster from a certain speed. Sure, I'll give you that. But man, line up. I don't care. I personally don't care if you line up on the street if you're doing it safely or if you're doing it at the track. It doesn't matter to me. Just do a dig. Man up. But I digress. Back to other things that are far more important on this video. So, getting back to what got me into cars, I don't know. I've just always liked to call it, just being a boy, I guess. If you guys are bouncing too much, I'm sorry. So, I can tell you, there was one guy in my life, Keith McNeil, there's a good chance he's watching this video. Growing up, man, he was my first real, legitimate male role model. And, man, he would help me, him and another guy, I'm sorry, Walter Evans, we all called him Judd, who was my mom's best friend's husband. 2 guys, very intelligent in cars. Walter was more of a very by the book, keep it running, keep it stock kind of guy. Taught me a lot about fixing cars in that respect. Gave me a few hard lessons when I do something wrong. But Keith was the guy that got me into hot rod. And the first car I ever owned that went down the road with me as a licensed legal driver was a 1970 Jeep CJ5. That thing was a Frankenstein. Got it from my grandpa Al, who had bought it new. By the time I got it, it had a Buick 231 Oddfire V6. And it, it had a small lift on it, steel leaf springs, had 31s. Fun high school off-roading car. And I used it as such. We'd go in the mud, we'd go trail riding. We'd tear that thing up. I broke more parts on that than anything, but it taught me the importance of maintenance, looking over your car, and how to properly fix things. The other one, Joe would help me fix it back to stock. But Keith was always showing me little tricks. In fact, I busted the axles out of that thing one time. And Keith, in his hometown, there's a big junkyard owned by a guy named Lester. And Lester just parts out old iron. That's all he does. So there's a trip. I'll never forget this. I busted the rear axle out of that Jeep. I mean, stripped everything out. It was useless housing. Keith drove all the way to Missouri, snatched up 2 axles that were matched, brought them back to me, and helped me get them situated to throw them back in the Jeep. And those things had like 538 gears. They were geared to the blue, man. They were stout. And that's when I, lifted the Jeep, put bigger tires on it because I had the gear for it now. The bouncing should stop soon, guys. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Lifted it, did all that. But Keith was an inspiration because the first car I remember Keith having was a 1963 Ford Fairlane. This thing had a 302 with GT40P heads. And man, when you fired this thing up, houses 4 blocks away, their windows were rattling. Loved that car. I never rode in that car. Which still, if you're watching, I'm going to hold that against you for the rest of your life. I never even sat in that car, but I love that thing. That car was black, low, loud, gorgeous. Keith's son, Corey, one of my best friends in the world growing up. We still talk every now and then. I moved away from them about a quarter century ago, so that's how strong that friendship was. Is 25 years apart, we still chat. So he grew up. He had a 1988 Grand Marquis 5.0 automatic, obviously. Dude, we put that car through hell. So that's kind of the beginnings of me loving cars. I had a car that I constantly broke, what we like doing fun stuff with. Had a bunch of buddies with Jeeps. Corey had that Grand Marquis that, we could stuff about 12 teenagers in it. And I can tell you for a fact, it's a 14-inch body trunk. We used to sneak people in everywhere in the trunk of that car, and would carry all our hockey gear when we played hockey. Solid car. Core memories in that thing. Joined the Army, always still in the cars then. Got a Camaro, still did car stuff in Fayetteville. Anytime I was in town, we did car stuff. Modded that car to the moon. Got in trouble with that car. That car lost my license for a few years, which got me in a lot of trouble with the brass. But hey, it is what it is. I survived it. Everybody's alive. Now, I kind of do my own thing. I've been turning wrenches for decades. Lost track of time, but it's a long time. So, what got you guys into cars? What are your thoughts on the current state of car culture? Car meets they're dying fast. Everyone I've met in the last several years that tries to throw car meets or put things together is just met with so much ridiculous resistance because they say things like, no burnouts, no revenue, no loud music. And then you go to these places, and I don't understand what is wrong with some of y'all when you meet in a parking lot at like 10 or 11, that way all the businesses are closed, being respectful of their hours and their business operation. Let's say the guy putting it on has permission to be there. And y'all show up and crank up your stereos to 1,000,000. It's 10, 11 o'clock at night, man. People live out here. Stop being assholes. There's no other way around it. You're an asshole. Revving, doing burnouts in the middle of town, same thing. You're an asshole. What happened to the way things did? The reason we got away with it for so long is because we didn't do dumb stuff like that. And now we can't seem to go back to that. Because I've seen these kids, man. When I say kids, I mean kids. Y'all 17 to 22-year-olds. Y'all are kids, man. They show up at these car meets. Yes, me and my wife will still go out from time to time to try to get to. We're holding on to hope at this point. But they show up. They got some clapped out absolute shit box, which is fun. You're getting in the cars. Everyone starts somewhere. But dude, they cut the exhaust off. They're sitting there revving it to the moon. They got 212s. They pop the trunk and they crank music to 1,000. And they just sit there no matter how many times people tell them, shut it off, stop, leave. They continue to do it. And then what happens is police officers show up to break up the meet. And because that person won't stop, everybody's in the same boat. So the cops are pissed off at everybody. It's crazy. Y'all are killing something that you pretend to be a part of, and it doesn't make sense. So that's an unfortunate situation that we all seem to be in. And I know I keep popping off subject, man. It literally crawls under my skin. It makes my skin crawl at the state of things. And I know we're past the heyday. All that stuff was pre-social media, so you had to be there to experience. I don't mean be there by age. I mean you had to physically show up to the car meet to experience the car meets back then. There was no camera phones. There was no social media. Dude, I remember we used to have a place in Fayetteville called USA Tire. It may still be open, I don't know. But it was a tire shop, man, that sold, they were probably one of the first ones back in the day offering like rent to own for wheels. But you would show up and these cats would throw 300-400 car meets in parking lots. They'd talk to elementary schools and high schools and middle schools and stuff like that and get permission to use their lots. I remember entering a burnout contest at an elementary school in Fayetteville, and they let us do burnouts for like 3 hours in the back of an elementary school parking lot, and no one cared. It was a sanctioned thing. And it wasn't even invite only. They hung flyers and all that stuff. But now, flyers are digital and they reach thousands of people, and we've lost control over who gets to show up. And then you get stuff like, I don't know if you guys are aware of the Slammed Enough show that happened in Pigeon Forge 2025. I've never attended a Slammed Enough show. It's not my kind of show. I'm not gonna knock it. It's just not my brand of car show. Essentially, a damn riot started, and I'm not gonna blame the cops or the attendees. I don't care who started it. A car meet should never get that far. It was wild. So yeah, man, social media to me has killed car culture faster than anything else, because it gives these ding-dongs a platform to be ding-dongs. And what I've learned about social media is conflict creates conversation. Conversation, clicks, comments, that's what gets these guys their attention. So one like or one comment, you could even be talking crap to the person who posted the video. And if you get in an argument, every time you clap back at the person who posted it, you're giving them an additional comment, which if they are, like let's say on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, all three of those platforms have a way for you to get paid. They're ridiculous, but let's say they are getting paid from Facebook. Every comment pays them. So every time you are mad at a social media person and you're arguing with someone on there, you're just paying them to keep doing it. So why would they stop? So we've got this thing where if things are cool and things look cool, most of the time people just go thumbs up and then move on. So, what's the point? In all what I'm saying is, do more for the things that are positive. Let's start making the right people famous. I'm not saying me, I'm just a guy with some tools trying his best. So we've got to change that. Without people being interested in this hobby, the hobby's going to die. Probably not in my lifetime. Even if it does, I'm so hard set in my ways. I'm still going to build my cars for me. Matter of fact, we're on the way to get 3 more and potentially make a deal for a 4th. So I've got enough cars to build for myself to take me to retirement. So I'm very happy and very content with what I got going on, and we're just going to go for it. I just build stuff that I think is cool for me and my wife. And that's what I want to see more in the world is people, I don't care if it's just a set of wheels, lower it, lift it, bigger tires, put tint on it. I don't care. Just do it. Do it and be happy with what you're doing. Far too often people are worried about what other people think, and it's going to breed unhappiness. So, yeah, tell me what got y'all into it. Have you ever street raced? Do you like street racing? Do you like going to the track? At this point, I enjoy the track more because there's less potential. One, I'm too old to run from police, man. I just ain't about that life anymore. 2, the track is a state of control. There's a clear start line, clear finish line. There's clocks, there's wind lights, there's red lights. You know, a race is pretty cut and dry at the track. Do people still bet and talk crap at the track? Hell yeah. Yeah. Get to the track and check it out. It's a good time. The number one thing I hear from people is, oh man, it's too much money to go to the track or I'm going to break at the track. Well, learn to chill out on your car maybe and it won't break. And 2, at our local track to us, it's $40 to get in and get a tech card and run during testing tunes. That is a hell of a lot cheaper than any ticket I would ever get from street racing. Trust me, I know. My last one ended up, by the time it was all done, cost me about $12,000. And I lost that car forever. So, yeah, I'm going to go to the track. I'm good with the track. More people should be comfortable with going to the track. The excuses with me fall on deaf ears. You're just being a chump. But, again, we've been known to goof off and get down on the street. I probably will never post a street racing video ever for fear of, prosecution. I don't know how some of y'all get away with posting street racing videos and stuff. We did that stuff in private because it was all prosecutable. So we don't do that stuff on film. It's just evidence. So that's just me. I don't have a problem with anybody that street races. I don't have a problem with anybody that roll races either. It's just, meh. I've done it. I'll do it. But to me, it doesn't count. A race is point A to point B. Who's fastest? Starting at the same time and having an equal chance. I don't think if you call me out. Here, let's touch on that. What's with all the stipulations in drag racing nowadays, man? So if I call you out to race, I'm trying to see if I can beat you. In no world am I going to say, I want to race you, but you're going to give me 2 cars in the head or give me a head starter. That's chicken shit. I'm sorry, it just is. If you call me out, you're not getting nothing from me. The best you can hope for is a heads-up race. If you call me out, I think the person being called out has the right to ask for stipulations, but I still think it's a little chicken shit if you do. If you really want to see who's faster, run heads-up. Otherwise, you're all just bracket racers, and they have events for that all year. So, I think that on the flip side, one of the best things that happened to drag racing as a sport has been the advent of all of these drag and drive events. They've reignited a passion from people that want to build street cars. It's a grueling deal. And the rule set, depending on the class you're going to run, is tough. So there's a lot with that. I love the drag and drive idea. I love everything about it. It's a great way to drum up interest in the sport. I like it. No prep racing, man, that's where the money is. It's both money spent and money earned. Man, some of those guys are. But the cars are getting, to me, the cars are getting so wild because there's such a lax rule set that it's like watching funny cars in the 70s again. Just crashes everywhere. It's the Wild West. And I don't know. I might do a couple no preps at some point. We do have a lot of backside no prep down here, which what I like about that is that's street racing that's legal, which is pretty cool. So I do think it's a good thing overall, but we maybe need to do some stuff to make the cars a little safer. They're getting so light with the big wings and all this stuff. Man, I'm watching cars at 500 feet take off. And speaking of distance, let's talk drag racing distance. First time I ever drag raced was an 8th mile track. I only went down that track about 4 times, and then it's been quarter mile for the last probably 15, 20 years. And now I'm back to 8th mile. I'm back to 8th mile now because all the tracks around me are 8th mile. I am okay with either, but when I hear someone crying and moaning that quarter mile is real drag racing, y'all should pump your brakes and look up a little bit of history on drag racing. Drag racing started as 8th mile. The NHRA started as 8th mile. I'm sorry, IHRA started as 8th mile way back when. They went to quarter mile because they were doing airport events and they had the space. Then they started building tracks that were quarter mile, and everybody liked it. And we've got to the point now where cars are so freaking fast that 8th mile is safer for speeds and parts. Man, y'all gotta look at how fast these cars are going in the 8th mile now. We got dudes over 200 mile in the 8th with a door car. It's crazy. So I think 8th mile is just fine. I'm good with quarter mile. I don't care. To me, racing's racing. It's all fun and games. But racing is racing, and hot rodding to me is slightly different. My wife and I, our favorite event in the whole world right now, anyway, is actually Hot Rod Power Tour. The reason is, man, every day you're meeting different people, you're seeing different things, you're going different places, and it's a rolling car show. It's super cool, it's super fun. It's unfortunately brought me the most carnage, though, in the last several years. It's the reason the F100 is tore apart. So, you can break your stuff just driving it too, man. So, I don't know. That's what we enjoy because it's a week-long vacation. It's just hanging out with other car guys, like-minded individuals, going different places. Is it crowded? Nope. Is it hot? Usually. But they move it around every year. So you're doing different things, seeing different things every single year, and I love that. So the only bummer is it's in June every year, and with my wife's job, that makes it difficult some years to get out there. So, but yeah, I've sat here and rattled off at you guys long enough. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you. Hopefully you've left a comment or a question, which I will answer. But to sum this video up, shoot me a comment, let me know what got you into cars, what's your favorite thing to do with cars, do you go to any events? And if so, what's your favorite event? If you're not a subscriber and you watch this long, you're awesome. And I appreciate you. Go ahead and hit subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment, ask a question. I do see them and I will address them. And I want to say thank you guys again for being a part of this channel. It's just me with a cell phone, and we're just cruising along. I've got to get fuel, so I'm going to cut this video down. I'm going to cut this video off, sorry, and get some fuel and finish this trip, which you will see this video about this trip tomorrow night, Saturday, December 27th is when I'll drop the video about the road trip. We're almost there, so I appreciate all you guys. See you all in the next one.